this is actually one of the best tips that we've ever done. We used to get people onto the phone call, talk to them for 45 minutes to an hour, and then say, would you like to be part of our community? Look at all the great stuff we're doing. Come on, be part of it. That used to be how we used to do it. Now it's down to 5 minutes, a 5-minute close, right?
Becoming a master is not about doing 4,000 things. It's about doing 12 things 4,000 times.
The Ultimate Sales Machine presents the CEO Mastery Show for entrepreneurs looking to grow faster, better, smarter. If you would like to have a profound breakthrough in your business, talk to our team live by visiting chetholmes.com/breakthrough. Good advice is contextual. Get your answers at chetholmes.com/breakthrough.
Welcome, everybody. Amanda Holmes here, CEO of Chet Holmes International, and I am so thrilled to have Johann Nogueira with me. I have seen Johann online for nearly a decade. You have commented, you are always engaging, you always say that one thing. What did we start the conversation with? What did you say?
I don't know. We said a lot.
Something like CHI has changed my life, Ultimate Sales Machine
has
changed my life.
Of course.
I've heard this from you so many times.
Changed. Oh, 100%. CHI has changed my life. It's not only changed my life, my community, my family, and my entire community. So thank you for what you've done. And finally, I get to say thank you to you in person.
It's amazing. And it wasn't until just recently, I have to admit, I'd always see you and I go, oh, I wonder what he does. I wonder what's going on. But it wasn't until your post just a few weeks ago when you announced that you just sold one of your companies. Congratulations for an 8-figure exit, because I know, I always have market data. According to the International Business Brokers Association, 90% of businesses never sell. So the fact that you sold a company and you managed to walk out in the 8-figure mark is a huge celebration. So congratulations there.
Thank you so much.
I know it was a lot of work and we're going to talk about it in a minute, but can you give, I think you do it best. Can you give a little bit of a background? Because from farming to figuring out how to build companies and scale them is pretty fascinating. Can you give just a brief of your background that led you up to this point?
Yeah, for sure. Quick brief. One, I was doing my PhD in secondary biofuels and climate change. So that's what I was doing. Then I discovered business and realized that business is where I wanted to be, because through business, you can create much more impact in the world. Being a scientist, I was going to write theses, etc., and papers, which only a very small select few people would read. So, but we have a very short lifespan on this planet. I wanted to create as much impact as I could while I'm here. And I decided that business was the way to do it, because through business, we can change the lives of so many people, not only that of my employees, but through them, their children. And, by having stable employees who are happy, their homes are actually transformed. I see their kids turn out to be leaders, and then leaders change the world. And that's my core belief.
I agree with that mission. And I think that's obviously why you've had so much wonderful success, right? I think you had told me about how going from the farming degree, then you
got into affiliate marketing. So affiliate marketing took off around 2006, mastered that, so lead generation, media buyer. And then from there, CPA marketing came about, which was just cost per acquisition. So much more easy than affiliate marketing, because in affiliate marketing, you have to make a sale. In CPA, you just got to generate leads. And then I, systemized this whole thing. It was working so easily. People started coming up to me saying, hey, you can generate leads. Can you generate me leads? I was like, hell yeah, easy. So I built a digital agency, which was not easy. It was blood, sweat, tears, and oh my God, it was the most stressful thing I ever did.
You said that you built to 40 employees in 6 months, which is a pretty quick growth, but at the cost of your sanity, right? That's what you said.
At the cost of my sanity, my health, my pretty much everything. I don't think I couldn't shut up, because I had to, in order to grow so quickly, I had to have more staff, more management. So I ended up selling. So I had to go out and sell. Then I'd have to manage my project managers, who would then manage all of our outsourcers, who would then manage our clients. And there was like literally no break. It was just a madhouse. And I remember just this manic panic that one day I just woke up and said, I don't know how to stop this thing, because if I stop doing what I do, all of these people who depend on me for their livelihoods, they're not going to have a job, and families might starve. So I just woke up one day and went, oh my God, I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore, but I have to, because if I don't, all these people aren't going to get fed. And so then I went on a search. I said, there's got to be a way. There's companies that have been building companies for so long. Why is it so hard? What am I doing wrong? And, compared to all the other stuff, which was being by myself with my computer doing what I do, was so much more easier rather than managing staff and teams and everything. But the impact that you can create is much bigger. So anyway, that's what I believed. So I decided to go investigate, and I found Chet Holmes International. And literally I was like, oh my God, this is the godsend. This is what I've been waiting for. And then started implementing all the stuff that you guys teach. And then from there, my company started getting stable. So it went from absolute chaos to predictability. Now, when a company is young, there was no predictability. We had our sales guys would sell for the first 2 weeks, and then the next 2 weeks they'd be too busy like chilling out while all of our guys are trying to over deliver and blah 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 blah. It was a madhouse. But now everything's predictable, everything's systemized. We can grow at whatever rate we choose to grow. We can go into which niches we want to go into because everything is templated now. So we can go into a brand new niche and take over that niche if we want to. So anyway, so my point is systems and leverage is the key to scaling.
You said you grew to 100 employees and you were able to get bigger deals like the government and such. So kind of following the Dream 100 strategy in there.
That's so much we could talk about. So exactly that. It's like, hey, how much money are we making from these 20 clients? We can replace them with one client, which is the government. So we started getting deals that were in the Defense Department, in the airports. If you ever gone through airport security and done the facial recognition stuff, we built that. We built technology in the farming sector. So it was quite funny because I quit my PhD, but then I ended up building technology for all the scientists. So
how interesting.
Whole nother story. So then do you want to talk about how this company that I just sold came about?
Yes. So I love that. I mean, I think we could talk for hours. Specifically when you say systems and processes, I want to dive deep and go, oh, what were they? How were they? But let's jump over to this one that you recently sold.
Awesome.
Tell me the story.
Easy. So back then, this 2012, mobile app technology had just come out, and everybody was like, "Ooh, cool." And I was like, "Oh, cool! I want to build apps for restaurants and for nightclubs and things." And that was our niche that we wanted to go into because it's easy. And then I moved into this building, and when I moved into the building in Melbourne, they said it's the best building in Melbourne. I was like, "Yes, woohoo!" Like technology wise. And so moved in, and I get a piece of paper come under my door, and I'm like, what is this piece of paper? And then it's got just one sentence on it. The sentence says, your windows are getting clean. And I looked at it, I went, oh, that's interesting. And then another, a couple of hours later, I get another one which says the pool is getting maintained. And I looked at it, I'm like, what the hell? Okay, cool. Anyway, a month goes by. I was thinking something's broken. A month goes by, and there's an inch of paper sitting on my table near my door. And it's just got one sentence on it. So I took that, went to the building manager, and I said, hey, how much is this costing me? He said, it's $1 per sheet. Now there's 500 apartments in that building, $1 per sheet, twice a day, $1,000 a day, plus somebody's walking around this building, putting these things under the doors, right? It's crazy. So I said, why don't we build an app for the building? He said, I don't know what you're talking about. What is an app? He goes, but show me. So I said, okay, cool. So I went to Dubai back in the days when we could fly. went to Dubai, looked at all their technology, came back and reverse engineered, the best building management system, mobile app technology, etc., and showed him. And he said, wow, this is incredible. Let's show the owners corporation. So we show it to them. They go, we love it. We have to have it. So I'm walking out the building. This guy comes running after me, chasing me, saying, oh my God, how much money did you just make? I said, I did all right. He goes, do you want to be business partners? I've got 30 other buildings. I've got, well, all right, that's pretty easy because with technology, it's literally cut and paste and change a few logos and things, right? And so he goes, yeah, let's do it. So it took us 2 years to get those 30 onboarded and build the right systems. Wow. And I was like, oh man, that 30 clients in 2 years, that's actually a failed business. If you think about it. He goes, hey, look, I'm retiring. Do you want to buy the company? I'm like, yes, I want to buy the company. So I buy the company, and I'm sitting down and I go, hey, God, I don't want to go sell, technology to buildings. Give me something. And I get these guys call up and they go, hey, we've been trying to copy your technology for 2 years. What's it going to take to buy you out, to partner with you? I'm like, well, thank you. Like 24-hour turnaround. That is incredible. Thank you. So I got to meet these guys, and I'm sitting around the table with these literal titans of industry. They have built up, I don't know the comparison in where you live, but the most expensive areas in Melbourne, they've built those up through generations. It's like your Beverly Hills 90210. Imagine the people who built that thing, right? So I'm sitting at the table. I'm like, what am I doing at this table? How did I get a seat at this table? This is incredible. Anyway, I go, look, what you're doing is good. You've built these things, but we think you're completely not, maximizing that. So what do you mean? I go, what does it do? I'm like, well, it does this. I go, have you calculated out all the savings? I'm like, oh, actually, no, I haven't. Oh, wow, holy moly, we save a building like $3 million a year. They're like, well, don't you think you're charging a little too little? I'm like, hell yeah. So then we went on this.
Gotta love an ROI calculator. Oh, man.
We wrote down our Dream 100 list because we built this company. So they said, hey, do you want to be partners in this company? I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. So built this company to sell it. And our sell point was at 100 million. So that was the trigger. And that was every decision that we made in the company. So one of the things was, we're not going to get shiny object syndrome. The thing we're going to aim for is that 100 million, 100 million, 100 million. So let's aim for that. So any decision that we ever had to make was towards that number. And so that just made our decisions easier. So we drew up our Dream 100 list. And from there, we literally had the biggest developers in Australia on our books. And it went from our sales cycle. Now, again, CHI stuff, our sales cycle was 6 months to 1 year to implement new technology into a building, because doing technology change is a massive thing for people. So we go into this meeting. I remember this meeting forever because we had been practicing for about 3 months. There were 6 of us who were going to practice for a 2-hour meeting to do our pitch. We walk in, we're sitting down in front of this guy. He's the owner of the business. He's built, nearly $1 billion worth of real estate over here. And he goes, okay, you've got 15 minutes, go for it. And we all look at each other. There's 6 of us who have all prepared to present. And I'm like, I got this, guys, let me go. So in 15 minutes, I'm doing this. I'm all excited and I'm showing him all I focused on was money, because I knew this guy, all he cared about was money, right? And he goes, stop at the 10-minute mark. And he goes, wait a second. He goes outside, he brings in 40 of his people. He goes, sit down. And we spend the next 3 hours outlining everything we were going to do for him. We walked away with 15 deals.
Oh, I got chills. That's great. What got the appointment? Do you remember?
Oh, yes, I do. So we sent a foot in the door. We sent dice. Wait, do I need to explain this? I think I might need to explain.
Oh, yeah. You did direct mail pieces. Yeah. You sent a shoe. That's great.
Correct. We sent tiny little feet saying, hey, look, we're trying to get our foot in the door because we've got something really important for you. We sent them little dice, and the little dice said, don't gamble with your business's future. We have the answer to make your, create your legacy. Because this guy, every time he goes, he talks about legacy. So we used his vocabulary. We can create your legacy. We sent them little dinosaurs and said, hey, your technology has gone the way of the dinosaurs. You need to, get up to date with everything. And so we just kept pounding them. Pig-headed discipline, baby. Pig-headed discipline all day long.
That's great.
And those little direct mail pieces, oh my God, the ROI that we've got from that. Like, we have a digital agency. We have 2 digital agencies. We do direct mail. Why? Because it works. Because everybody's on digital, do the thing that everybody else is not doing, right? So that's how we ended up getting in front of the biggest corporations. One, the first thing they'd say to us is, man, that was corny marketing. I'm like, but it got your attention, didn't it?
But I'm here, aren't I?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
gave me 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how we started doing all these deals, increasing the life cycle. Then we started partnerships. So we had this technology, which can be a stem cell. So then we started partnering with the ecosystem around us. So everybody who wanted to, if I know I'm talking about buildings, and to the people who are listening, a building is essentially a database. So in that building, anybody who wanted to sell any services to this building, they had to come through us. We're the gatekeeper. We're the mobile phone on their app, right? So if you want to give our residents a great deal on their lunch or dinner, dinner for $2, $99. Actually, I'll tell you, this is a funny story. I'm standing down at the concierge and I'm talking to the concierge, and he's my friend, and a restaurateur comes in, and I eat at his restaurant all the time, so he knows me. And he hands over, my old friends, and he hands over to the concierge a little brown paper bag. And this brown paper bag, I'm like, what's in the brown paper bag? Looks kind of dodgy. He goes, well, it's $1,000. I'm like, what are you giving him $1,000 for? He's like, so he can send out a push notification telling the people that there's a special at my restaurant, $99 for a 2-course meal. I'm like, I don't know. That's kind of underhanded. How about if we make it an official policy where you can promote it and I give you 4 push notifications a year, so 4 promotions a year to the entire database. It's $1,000 and now it's all legal. He's like, that's a great idea. That one little idea ended up making the building, because we settled the technology to the building and we split profits with them, an extra $100,000 a month in revenue, because we had not only the restaurateurs, the plumbers, the electricians, the concierges, the, what do you call them, the chauffeurs, everyone who wanted to supply that would pay between $100 to $500 to be on the app per month. And so we built this nice little ecosystem out. Anyway, I might be going into too much detail, but essentially the banks, the banks wanted the people on the database, which is the building. So they said, can we put a button on the app? And if we do, we'll give you a percentage of every person who refinances. So we ended up making more money on the back end of the deals, which we then split with the building, which then reduced the cost of every person living in that building. So they love this thing.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a quick little story.
Wild. Okay. So then where are we in the, you did, you had, I'm going to just go back to what you said, because there's some really powerful things. You were very clear on your goal, right? You wanted to sell 100%. And you wanted a 9-figure exit. So it took away the shiny object syndrome. It helped you with focus. Every decision was made based on that. That was a really great takeaway. Then you had a product market fit. You found different partners, which is also pretty crucial. I know I read online when you were sharing about this, you were saying that you niched and you did a lot of niching as well, which was, I don't think we actually covered, but we did cover the dream.
Yeah. I'll talk about that. So what we did was, in our niche, there's only like 5 other main players, and they think that they're competitors. And so I went to them and I said, hey, do you want me to sell your stuff for you? And they're like, why would you sell my stuff for us? I'm like, because we're not competitors. We actually complement each other. My entire sales team is going out and selling a product. And while we're in front of these people, and I showed them the list of who we're in front of, do you want us to pitch your services? We don't believe you. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll show you. And so I said, give me some material, I'll go sell it for you. They're like, okay. And so we started sending them sales. And they're like, wow, this works. I'm like, yeah, but now your product is partnered in with ours. It's, they're getting a really good deal. And then we started interviewing the people saying, why did you sign up with us? And they said, because everything is under one roof. So we sent those as voicemails to these guys. And so we ended up getting the first guy. After we got the first guy, we went to the second guy. We went, look, we've teamed up with this guy. Do you want to compete against both of us, or you want to be part of the team? They're like, yeah, all right, we'll come on board. And then the fourth and the fifth guy, they're like, yeah, cool, we're in. And that's how it sort of happened. And then now every company pitches every other company as a full suite, which then we ended up owning the market, because everyone's pitching everybody else's and leveraging the resources and the sales teams. So yeah, that's how we just kept growing and growing and growing. And it became like ordering a pizza, because people would call up going, hey, we want a mobile app. We heard that you guys do this. We want this. I'm like, cool, it'll be done in 2 weeks. Here's the contracts, let's go. And so it went from a 6-month to 1-year cycle to now it's actually become a standard in Australia to, if any new buildings are going up, they have to have this technology in there. So yeah, so that's a little bit of a background.
Wow, I love that. Talk about taking competition to a whole nother level, right? That we work together. Brilliant. So then how did you get to the path of then selling? How did you know when the time would be as well? Because I know that's difficult.
Easy. It was because I had systemized everything. And for 2 years, I was not really doing anything in the business anymore. There was no more innovation to be done. There was no more partnerships to be had. There was no more technology that we could build. And while the whole world is catching up to the tech that we'd built, because they'd say, hey, what about this? This is new. I'm like, nope, we already built that 2 years ago. There you go, it's done. So I was getting bored. And when you're getting bored, you're like, ah. And so I told my partners, I'm like, look, I really don't have anything else to give to the company. Everything's done. Like, it's fully systemized. You can take an order, you can deliver an order. You don't need me in this company anymore. Everything is, all the videos, all the training, all the onboarding, everything's done. I go, let's plan for my exit. So that was 2 years ago. So we planned for my exit. They replaced me and all, all the stuff that we needed to replace so that they can continue to grow it. But yeah, that I said
it was a 2-year process. It was a 2-year process. When were you able to make it publicly known?
When I put up that Facebook post.
Oh man. Wow. That's a long time.
That was the day
and then since then you've been busy too. You've bought another 7 companies to come together. I mean,
correct.
What?
7 others to create, because now I've lived in the SaaS world since 2012. And I love SaaS because software as a service is just incredible because you can deliver a very powerful product. It can change not only that business owner's life, but their entire, their workforce's life. It's sticky because once they have it and they're embedded in it, they're not going anywhere as long as you don't mess up the product or you don't cause them too much grief. And so we've got a parent company to this company, and we're buying up more companies and putting that in and giving people access to this, more tools than they can ever, use. Not more tools that any tool that they can ever think of that they would want is going to be in this suite. So yeah, that's what's happening there. We're in a beta phase now. We've got on all these clients and we're running them through and making sure that there's no kinks. We're onboarding, systemizing, creating all the collateral that we need to create. It's literally 2 months old, but in about 6 months we'll be fully ready to go out, and we're going to have I've already spoken to most of the big CRMs, and they're like, we want this now. I'm like, yeah, just wait, let me finish.
I love that. Since I'd love to take just a little bit of a moment around systems. What's some of the things that you've learned from creating systems? Because it's one thing to say it, and then it's another thing to actually do it. And majority of businesses, can get to that $1 million mark, but to get to 5, it's, breaking the whole system that got them to $1 million to get to 5. And then from 5 to 10, right? It's the same thing of just, if it's one superstar, now you have to hire a sales team. Now it's the one superstar on the sales team. Now you have to hire more to get more of them be superstars in that sales team, right? So can you share maybe some top things that come to mind when systematizing?
For sure. So I'll talk about this company. So it's a software as a service company. I'm not going to talk about the name just yet because I want it to all be set up before we send any people there. 7 companies, putting them all together, having the superstars teach us all the little nuances around each one, but then what are the main messages, what are the main problems that each one solved? And then putting that into a presentation, putting that into a client journey flow, saying, hey, do you have this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem? Well, guess what? We fixed that. This is how we did it. What would it, how much money are you saving by not having to do all of this other stuff, which is all disconnected? Now it's all in one system. So by talking to the superstars in those companies and then getting them to train us, and then taking their knowledge, and not just one training, we're talking like weeks and weeks I got them to do at least 50 different videos with clients, potential clients. So we could sit down and pick out all the golden nuggets, and I'm listening to them going, wow, that's amazing. Oh my God, why did nobody tell me this stuff? And they're like, what do you mean? It's obvious. I'm like, no, it's not obvious. We're going to write this down. And so by writing down everything and putting it into this beautiful pitch deck, it makes our sales guys' job so easy because they can be like, oh, what niche are you again? Okay, cool. By the way, we've got 70 niches. And so we've got different salespeople for all these different niches, right? But they've got their own sales material. So they can pull out the pitch deck and they can go, cool, tick, 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 tick. By the time they're done, and it's not a big, deck. It's core story stuff. That's what it is. It's literally core story stuff. I love core story, by the way. Changed my life.
I can't wait to have you in the boot camp. I'm so excited that you're a part of it because I definitely want to set some time aside and we'll use you as a case study and you can talk about some of this stuff because what you're doing is brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, so core story stuff. So we're building out all the core stories, and that then goes out into the niches, and then we systemize it. So what do I mean by systemizing? So for example, there used to be a long sales cycle with one of our communities, right? This is actually one of the best tips that we've ever done. We used to get people onto the phone call, talk to them for 45 minutes to an hour, and then say, would you like to be part of our community? Look at all the great stuff we're doing. Come on, be part of it. That used to be how we used to do it. Now it's down to 5 minutes, a 5-minute close, right? The 5-minute close is
Okay, keep going. How and what is it?
I call this the 5-minute core story. That's what it is. It's, hey Amanda, I know what you're trying to, and if I've done all my research, right? I know what you're trying to do in the world. I know you want to be, every business needs to have CHI. So that's your legacy. Let me show you who's on my list. And I open up an Excel sheet and I go, here's Mr. YouTube. He's got 20 million subscribers. Here's Mr. So-and-so who's got 6 best-selling books and how they did it. And there's 60 of these people. It's our inner circle. This is what you can learn from each one. Here's a column saying this is what they're doing. This is what they'd love to help you with. And this is what they're looking for and joint ventures that they want to do. How would you like to partner with me and my dream inner circle and come play with us? The answer is, by the time you go through number 4 or 5, you're like, holy shit, I want to be part of this community. That's the 5-minute close.
Wow. How did it get from 45 to 5? Was it just perpetually workshopping it or back and forth or?
Well, so the workshop back in the day was, these are your pain points. As it used to take a lot of time to go through it and explain things to them. But in this day and age of TikTok and Instagram and 3-second, goldfish brains that we have now, it's, hey, I know what you're trying to do. I understand. This is what you're trying to do. If you want to achieve this, here are the people who can help you get there. Would you like to be part of it? Would you like to play? Yes or no? If you don't want to, that's cool. Your loss, not mine. I've got my community here. That's it.
Wow.
And simple as that.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, oh man. Is there anything else that pops up for you? Like, oh, there's this one story or this one particular thing that I think would be really valuable for people that we haven't covered.
Oh, I could talk to you for days.
I know.
If you ask me the right question, I will give you the answer.
I know. That's what I was thinking. That's not the right question. I should be so much more specific. Well, since we're in the theme of core story right now, because of the boot camp, we have 7 hours left before that cart closes. Is there anything else that you can think of for how that's been beneficial to you? Because it's a very large concept, right? And some people have a hard time grasping all of it.
Oh, okay, cool. I was going to tell you another story. Can we come back to core story while I remember this? Because literally I have ADD and if I don't tell you the story now, it's going to be
I love it. I love it. Tell me it.
So me and my wife, we go shopping, and we go shopping, and we go shopping for salespeople, right? That's our hobby, right? We love going shopping for salespeople. So I walk into this department store, and this guy walks up, and he's like, "Hey, how can I help you?" And he was just like, he was beaming like this. He had this beautiful energy about him. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but I want to talk to him more. He's like, "So what are you looking for?" I'm like, "I want a computer." He's like, "What type of computer?" I'm like, "An Apple computer." He's like, "What do you need it for? A laptop or a desktop?" I'm like, "Desktop, that one." He's like, "The big giant one?" I'm like, "The big giant one." He's like, "What do you use the computer for?" I'm like, "Emails and browsing the internet." He's like, "Okay, but you need this one." I'm like, "No, I want the big one." He's like, he goes, "I'm very happy to sell you the big one because I work, I get paid commissions. But for your needs, you only need this. And, this is blah, 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 blah." And he went into explaining it to me. 8 hours later, I walk out of there. I have bought a computer, a hi-fi system, a new, air conditioner. I bought literally everything that I could. It took me 8 hours. But what happened was I ended up interviewing this guy all this whole time. And his core belief was, how can I help my customer get the outcome that they want? And I told him, I hate shopping. I don't want to be shopped. I just want, I want all this stuff that, help me get the best one. And he spent time explaining each one and why I should get with each one. And he never once, and I was baiting him. I was like, "Tell me the big one." He's like, "I can't, I don't want to, I don't have to, I can." And so his heart was in a great place. So I ended up at the end of this, he sold me all this stuff and I was very happy. And I called him up the next day. I said, "Hey, do you want to come in and check out what our workplace is like?" He's like, "Okay, sure, I've got a day off." So he comes in and I'm like, "So this is your desk. You can sit down here." He's like, "Wait, what are we doing? I thought we were having a coffee." I'm like, "Yeah, I just want you to sit down, just get the vibe of the place, Anyway, I ended up poaching the guy from his job. He ends up closing Nestle as a client for us. So that little shopping trip ended up getting me one of my best sales guys.
Oh
And
my
so this is
God, I love that. It reminds me of my father. Honestly, it's exactly to the T, right? Everywhere we'd go, he'd find people, whether it was the valet guy or the grocery store stuffer or the car salesman or the carny at the latest festival. I don't know. That story is so perfectly my father. I just love that. Wow. True practice of the art.
Yep, 100%. So core story stuff.
Such a great story though.
Financial planning. That was one of the easiest core stories we ever did. So financial planner. Yeah, I think you guys have financial planners there. Yep, they give you financial advice on how to do your investments, etc. And so this guy comes in and he goes, hey, we grew up together. And he's like, hey, I heard you have a digital agency. Can you run some ads for me? I'm like, yeah, sure, we can do that. I need to audit your company. He's like, what do you mean audit my company? What? I want you to run ads, not audit my company. I'm like, well, this is our process. If you want to do it, you can do it. If you don't want to, that's cool too. He's like, fine, I'll follow your process. We do an audit of his company. And turns out he's got a database of 12,000 people who he hasn't talked to in 3 years. I'm like, you want to run ads to generate leads, but you've got 12,000 leads who have bought from you sitting here. What is wrong with you? And his leads are between $5,000 to $25,000, right? So it's not a small chunk of change. He goes, what do we want to do with these guys? I'm like, I want to do a direct mail campaign. He's like, wait, don't you run a digital agency? I'm like, yeah, but I want to do a direct mail campaign. I'll show you why. Anyway, I'm going to cut this story because I want to tell you the core story stuff. Actually, yeah. Anyway, so we do a direct mail campaign to these guys, 1,000 of them. He calls me up, and the direct mail campaign was the four sequence. First one, get their attention. Second one, wow them, etc. And so it's same thing. I'm going to use the same examples. They got a dice saying, hey, don't gamble with your business's future. Your business is not insured. What are you doing? Come, call us. Or they get the dinosaurs saying, hey, your insurance policy's gone the way of the dinosaurs. It's extinct. You need to call us. And then they get, a tea bag saying, have this cup of tea, read this article. It's very important. You need to read it because it relates to your business. And then the fourth one was the big binoculars, the guy going, where are you? We've been looking for you, but we can't find you. So, and then his team would call them up and they'd be like, oh, cool. Hey, did you get my package? They're like, what package? He's like, the dinosaur. They're like, you're the dinosaur guy. You're the guy who's every dinosaur. So it wasn't even a cold call anymore, right? So now he calls me up. I think it was about 2 months later. He's like, whatever you're doing, shut it down. We are booked for the rest of the year. We can't handle it anymore. So I'm like, cool. That sounds good. When do you want to start those Facebook ads? He's like, ha, ha, ha. Right? So his guy, now problem number one is solved. His leads are done. Problem number two, I go, what are your conversions? He goes, our conversions? I go, yeah, how many out of every 10 meetings, how many people do you close? He said, oh, probably about 2. I said, 20% conversion. Do you want to work on that? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. Tell me your process. He's like, okay, well, the first thing I do is we sit down, we have a meeting with the client, we understand their needs and wants, and then we go back, we do research, and we write up a statement of advice, which takes about 2 or 3 days, and we write up a high, medium, and low risk strategy for them. Then the directors have a meeting around that strategy and discuss that person, their needs, their wants, and then create create the best pathway forward. Then we get them back in, we present it to them, etc. The whole process of doing all the research, etc., takes 2 weeks. Now, the objections, the number one objection at the start of this process when they had the 20% conversion was the price is too much. The price was $5,000, which they don't have to pay. They pay it from their superannuation. So your 401k, right? Okay. So they pay it out of that. So now we literally drew this out on a piece of paper, and for every person who's going in to have a meeting with the client, they'd say, hey, look, we're at step 1. We're having the meeting. Step 2 is this is what we're going to do. Step 3, we're going to do this. Step 4, step 5. And in 2 weeks, we'll call you back in to have a meeting. They're like, you're doing 2 weeks of work and you're only charging me $5,000? What's the catch? Its conversions went up to 80% because of that one little piece of paper. And that one little piece of paper was the core story.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I love it. Well, 92% of companies don't have a sales process, and you are just proving right there the power of actually creating a repeatable system. Johann, this has been so amazing. I'm glad that we've had this introduction. I mean, besides the constant back and forth saying hello online, this has been so much better, and may it be the beginning to even more of a flourishing relationship, because I'm so grateful.
I look forward to it. Me too.
So grateful. Well, yeah, I think we should close it out because I'm over my time limit, but I loved everything that you said, and I'm sure everyone loves. Right now, you wanted to send them to business authorities, huh? Or where would you send people that want to learn more?
If they want to chase me up, go to businessauthorities.com or the Facebook group on business authority. Just search Business Authorities Community. That's where I hang out. I don't really do that much Facebook and stuff anymore, but you will get my attention if you post in Business Authorities.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Johann. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Hey guys, Johann Nogueira here. I am so excited. What Amanda Holmes did in her boot camp was absolutely incredible. Our offer was converting at about 4.5%. After the boot camp, we got so clear on the benefits of what we were offering. And we even cut out 90% of our offer to make it so simple that our offer is now converting at 80%. We literally have people, 8 out of 10 people that we talk to going, shut up and take my money. Thank you so much, Amanda. You are absolutely incredible, and we'll be forever grateful. Talk soon. Take care. Bye.
Subscribe for more videos. Claim your free Chapter 4 of The Ultimate Sales Machine. This chapter helps you get 9 times more impact from every move you make. Visit ultimatesalesmachine.com. This has been the CEO Mastery Podcast, brought to you by The Ultimate Sales Machine.